All right, guys, the June 25th, 2019 Chilton County Commission meeting is called to order. Apologize to those of you in the public for us being a few minutes late. Our work session went a little over. We will work diligently to try to get ourselves back on track tonight. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda, and are there any additions and deletions? Okay.
Payment to Civic Plus, 8505. Sheriff's Department for Grays Paint and Collision Center, 681311, and Senior Connection, notice.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda with the additions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the additions. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the June 11th meeting? And if so, could I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion we approve the minutes of dated January 11th, 2019. June. How about June 11th, 2019?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the June 11th, 2019 meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the claims for June 25th? And if so, could I get a resolution to pay the bills?
I make a motion, we pay the bills June 25th, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now we come to the public comment section. We have one person scheduled to speak tonight, Steve Belo.
Yep.
If you would, come to the podium, please.
Thanks. I'll be brief, Commissioners. Just want to thank you for your service. I know it's an unthankful position at sometimes, but I just had an odd thing happen to me last week, and it just didn't quite seem right to me, so I just wanted to voice my opinion about it. I'm an individual. I'm not a professional builder, but I've got some property, and I was thinking about developing it, so I knew there were some relatively new subdivision rules, so I look online to get a copy of them. Don't find that. As a matter of fact, all I saw online was a advertiser story, I think, from 15 or something, that said you can get a copy or see a copy at the commissioner's office. So I came down and inquired about that, and they really didn't have a good answer for me. And I guess they didn't have a copy because I asked them if they had a copy. They referred me to the engineer's office. And I went down there, and this is where I have a little issue. They want $25 for a copy of the rules, the subdivision rules and regulations. $25 is not much. I mean, I don't care about the money. But, if I was a Hollywood producer and I was doing a movie, this movie would be called The Secret Public Policy of Chilton County. I should be entitled to view that information, I think, without, and if I could have just viewed it, I would have just took some pictures of it. I just wanted some information. And so that's really all I have to say. There's open information federally and state that's in force, and I should be entitled to see that information. And I don't want to pay $25 for it.
Right.
It's just a principle thing. Like I say, it's not the money.
Yes, sir.
It's public policy. It's your rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Why should that be sequestered back somewhere that requires me to pay money to get it? I just don't get that.
So $25 for you to view it or a copy of it?
To own it.
The copy of it, okay.
Yeah, and I understand, if I wanted some copies of it, I understand there are fees with that, and I don't have any problem with that.
Right.
I don't know what the going rate, when I was on state boards, it was 50 cents a copy we could charge. But I just wanted to see it. I'm thinking about developing some land, but I don't know what I'm looking at. What am I gonna have to do? I may not want to develop it if it's gonna cost me, a lot more money. But So anyway, that's my issue. I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you. That's something that we can follow up on as far as making those available for viewing. I know if they're in our office, if someone wants the minutes, we'll provide the minutes for them to view, but if they want copies, we'll charge.
That is correct.
And we may need to get a copy of those regulations to store in our office so we can make them available for people.
Cause we
That
don't,
would be easy
we
for
don't
us to
charge to view public
No,
documents that
no,
I
we
know
do
of.
not.
We don't have a resolution,
No,
do we?
but you're not
No.
allowed to
You'd-
take
you'd
pictures of
think
them.
we'd
What,
Probably have it online before they could go there and.
I would love for all of our minutes and everything else to be digitized, but that's gonna cost some money. And
but
Lots
you
of
could
time.
probably
If
put
you-
a
you can
PDF
charge
link on
$25,
your,
you probably
on your
don't.
website pretty easy for something
Tony let
this
us view.
standard.
He didn't come out there
And
wanting
if
to
that's
view. He
something
won't
this
come-
commission
he
wants to
won't
do,
come
that's
there.
something we should take up. But we've got a lot of links to a lot of information, and I wouldn't think that some things like subdivision regulations would be hard to put out.
Well, according to Tony, and I hate he left, but according to Tony, he didn't want to view them. He wanted a copy of them, and he fussed because he had to pay $25 for a copy of it.
Well, we can make those more readily available if they're an issue. Let's look into what it would take to put their subdivision regulations on our website on a link
Right.
from our commission
And then-
page.
in the meantime, let's get them in our commission office probably, don't y'all think? So we can have them
I agree.
if somebody wants to view them.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's-
easy.
that's
That
easy.
way it would be, until we can see how much it costs us to, put them on the internet.
Okay. All right, so Tony had nothing tonight. Jason, you're on here as nothing, but I'm gonna cover, we have a letter from our probate judge, Jason Calhoun, advising us that the special primary election will be held on the 20th of August, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And he says his poll workers will need to access the polls at 6 a.m. to be prepared for the poll opening. And he needs the people who are in charge to know that if any keys or codes have been changed, he needs to know about that so that they can have access. So just to make that announcement public. You have anything else? Okay, Miss Sylvia, you wanna handle Tim's
Yes, I'd like to.
request, or you want me to handle it?
I think he is requesting, permission, to, have you sign the contract with Delta Computer System, with an increase of, from 4,335 a month to 4,575 a month.
Okay. We need a resolution and a second to allow me to sign that contract.
So
with
moved.
him.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. The insolvents. He needed
Oh,
a,
so sorry. The insolvents, yes. He has presented you with the insolvents for 2018. These are insolvents, errors and taxes and litigation for this year, and uncollected insolvents and taxes and litigation for previous years.
okay, and you guys should have a copy of this in your attachment, but this requires the commission chairman to sign, and so what he needs is for a motion to allow me to sign this document.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, Derek Wright, the EMA Director.
Derek Wright, Chilton County EMA Director. I have a couple line item transfers on budget 52,300. Those line items you have on that page, if you need me to call them out, I can. Just need to move that $1,200 from the motor vehicles to fuel and lube.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move $1,200 from motor vehicle to fuel and lube. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
All right. The next is gonna be for the budget 52-303. It's gonna be for moving from from supplies, other supplies, to training.
And that would be a total of $4,000.
$4,000.
Could I get a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Derek, it says 52-302.
I was
52,
gonna dash
sorry.
that.
Okay, I'm just making sure for the record.
For 52-302.
Okay. Any other discussion?
City Plus.
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And request that we pay the bill for Civic Plus, which is our weather notification system, for $8,505. It'll be 100% reimbursed through.
So
Department
moved.
of Public
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That's it.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Evening, gentlemen.
Good
Hello.
evening.
All right. We talked to y'all back April 23rd about some issues we're gonna be having, about some shortfalls in our budget. One which being our inmate medical. Right now, we got about $5,423 in that line item. The bills haven't been paid this month. That's gonna wipe that out plus some. So we're gonna, be short there. On our building maintenance, we're already negative $2,652.97 in that. We've got doors down at the jail that's not operating. We have two that was a necessity that I've already, through our discretionary funds, paid for, but it's gonna probably be next week or so before they can actually get to those. But, those are very important doors, and we got multiple doors down there that's, we're having issues with that can't be opened or whatever. And in a jail, that's a very serious situation. In October, we should be able to remedy that problem, but right now, we're a little far off from October.
So Sheriff, this is a very complex problem, as we discussed earlier in our work session. And I think this is gonna take some time for you guys to work with our office and us to work together in a work session
Right.
to find some extra money within our budget to move, to do budget amendments. So what I would suggest is that we schedule a work session just for this.
Okay.
And I'm looking, we had talked about the week of July 4th. There's several of our commissioners that are gonna be out of town that week. So that takes us to the second week of July. And, we have a regular meeting scheduled on the 9th.
I'm gonna be out of town that week.
You'll be out of town that week. Do you think this is something that we could get together with, between now and then with your office and possibly cover in a work session prior to the meeting that night? Or do we need a work session just for this? What do y'all think? What do you think, Miss
Well, if we can get some preliminary information together prior to the meeting, like just present a budget.
Gerald, you could kind of forecast again like you did earlier in the year, drill down on those numbers and let us know what your bare bones needs are. Let's attempt that, because if we're looking at the second week, we've got a work session on the 9th, and then IDB has one of their kickoff meetings for the 212 plan on the 11th, and certainly don't want to interfere with those of you who go to church on Wednesday night. So that would take us into the third week of July if we can't work it in. So let's try to handle that in our work session if y'all think we can on the 9th.
Like I said, I'll be out of town at that time, but, we can sit down and talk and try to get some things worked out, and Gerald can.
Y'all, Sylvia can find some money and y'all give her some projections, and we can vote to amend the budget if we can find the money, and I'll work with y'all. And I'm sure the other commissioners will too. Anytime y'all need, I'll come in and help in any way I can.
I'll help.
Okay.
And then we have this one, bill that not been approved yet for Gray's Automotive or Gray's Paint and collision on one of the Tahoes.
Okay.
See if that bill could be voted on to be paid.
The work's been done.
Yes.
And there's no money in the line item.
Well, there is on that line item, yes, sir.
Okay.
That was it, that's in the building.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay this bill. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you. All right, Gerald?
I reviewed the qualifications of McKee and Associates and find them highly qualified.
Okay,
So I would like to recommend that we use them for design and overseeing construction on a bathhouse in Manuka Park.
So moved.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? For clarification, what Gerald is attempting to do is to get a grant to add a bathhouse. And so we're going through the legal steps that are the qualifications to get us set up to get a grant.
He already
Now-
has the grant. You already have the grant, correct?
Yeah, this is actually excess of the previous grant, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So
This is not coming out of our funds, although would there be some matching money there?
it's a reimbursement grant and it's a 80-20 grant. So we'll be responsible for 20%. And that includes engineering, construction. We will be responsible for 20%.
Will we be allowed to do in-kind services toward our 20% or not?
We can do some, but I think it would be if there's any excess over the bathhouse.
Okay.
I believe, in my opinion, I think the best way to do the bathhouse would be a lock and key job.
Okay. So what our goal is here is to get that part where it's financially independent and facilitating bathhouses and all these upgrades that we need, we feel like are gonna get us headed in that direction. And we're a lot better than we used to be.
Yeah, and
We're just not quite there yet.
that's probably the number one request I have in the campground, RV campground, is for a bathhouse. And I know for a fact that it'll help us fill up those water and power spots, the ones that don't have the septic. So
Okay.
I think
Okay.
it'll really help us.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, what is do you know the total of the project?
Well, I don't know it yet, because the first thing I'll do is sit down with McKee and Associates and explain exactly what we want. And, I have to make sure that it fits within the budget of the grant. I won't go over the grant, so, we should have enough in there to build a pretty nice bathhouse.
How much is the grant?
Total with including our 20% is $156,000.
Okay, so 20% of 156,000 would be, that includes our 20%.
Yeah.
So it'd be 30,000 that we're gonna have to come out of pocket, basically speaking. Is that correct?
Yes, the grant from ADECA, there's right at 125, 126,000.
And we need to figure out where we're gonna get that 30,000 to match that money for budget time.
Mhm.
That's a good question. Huh? Trade school? Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Barlow? Ms. Whitney Barlow, again for the public, is our Chilton County Economic Developer.
Hey, Gerald.
A little wrinkled, ain't it?
One of those, pass it down, I'm sorry to turn all of that. The only way I can keep them from, okay. So before I get on to the Chambliss King, while they're passing it out, I just want y'all to know that, to remind you that the IDB board and the chamber have co-partnered together to create a joint committee to help with parks. And we're working with Gerald on that. One of our first endeavors was to help get this grant done with him. And then, we put a committee together. It's about, 6 people to work with him, to overview the parks that he manages, as well as any of the other outlying, and this is in conjunction to help with the development of the Ag Center Park. We've got all these people coming to town, then we need to make sure that we have everything that's recreational, that could keep them here longer, up to standards, and I'm sorry they're so rolled up and wrinkled, up to the standard that for the expectations of what people have when they come to a RV park or they go to the lake. Our next quest will be the Higgins Ferry, which I have a funny feeling will be a lot more of a bite than this Manuka Park, based on what I can see with my bare eyes at Higgins Ferry. And so we are working with them to identify where all the property lines are out in the water so that we can address some of the needs there. So that's, just want to let y'all know when he stands up here and talks about that, that we are, that was why I was commenting from the audience, was we're working with him on that. So we're trying to help work together as a joint effort. What you have in front of you is the Chambliss King dates for the upcoming next 2 months, starting with an event this Thursday night, which is the kickoff meeting. Attached to that 8.5 by 11 is a 11 by 17, I guess. That's a ledger. It's not legal, is it? No, that's legal. A legal piece that is the preliminary draft of what Chambliss King has proposed. If you'll remember that Chambliss King is an architect group that does master plans along with a lot of other things. This group has some of the points, are they're doing the Albertville Recreational Park. They did the Lake Gunnersville project. They were one of the catalysts that started the Montgomery redevelopment. And we, the county and city and IDB, have jointly hired them to do a master plan of Exit 212. This is also in preparation of the Ag Center. The master plan of 212 preliminarily just starts at County Road 43 and goes a little bit past Jeff State. Obviously, they don't live here, thus they don't understand all the different parcels of land. So what their request to you in the city is, as well as the IDB, is to look over this map and Thursday night bring any suggestions, additions, or deleting, you know what I mean, to the meeting on Thursday, so that we can come up with a finalized map on Thursday night. From that finalized map, on July 15th and 16th, we will have the first 2 sets of public meetings in the Alabama Room at the Alabama Power Company building. On the 3rd meeting will be July 25th. You are all been invited by the chamber. As of yesterday, I don't know how many of you had responded, but I'm thinking it was none of you yet, to go to Perry, Georgia.
We have a meeting that night.
On Thursday?
No, that's not on, yeah, we rescheduled. We have a meeting at six, on the 30th.
And I'll be in county.
I responded.
You going?
Yeah.
We'll be back by 6. Y'all really need to go.
Really, you feel good about that? Because, I mean, we have a commission.
We can put y'all in your own van. You can leave early if you need to. In order to truly understand how this project works, the only way I can truly make y'all understand these different things in the city, a lot of the city's going. Chamber and IDB.
No, that ain't commission meeting.
July 30th. I just looked it up while we was talking. That was one of those tweaks we did at the beginning of the year for some schedule conflict.
But you can have your own van, or you can drive separately. But we're meeting with the mayor's city administrator. They have a city administrator, Stephen Shemp, who is over the Georgia National Fairgrounds, the chamber director, the CVB, well, it's not, she's leaving, but the chamber president, the CVB director, and a county official. And it is to discuss the ins and outs of how this works and how the project works for them, what they did wrong, what they did right, what if they could do over again, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can make it and you're scared that you're not going to be back by 6, you're more than welcome to drive your own car. You're more than welcome, we can put y'all in your own van and whatever. But it would be good if you can attend. After the 30th, we will have a wrap-up meeting to go through phase 1 and 2 of the master plan on August 15th, I think is what it is. Yes. On August 15th, and that will go through the first preliminary part. Now, in the master plan, you have land planning and you'll have the economic development planning part of it. And those two combined with the Chambliss King layout will help determine the highest and best use of the property and what you do as your finalized plan, finalized map of your acreage. And when I mean highest and best use, will Chambliss King tell a landowner out there what they're going to do with their property? No, they cannot do that. But I'm pretty confident if you own property out there and they're telling you that this is where you're going to get your max dollar for, you're probably going to take that in consideration. So it's an opportunity for us to really use this project as a catalyst to help begin to develop one of our interstate exits for future use for 20, 30 years down the road. So that's a big step that we're very excited is taking place, and hopefully we'll have this done by the middle of the fall. So if you all can come this Thursday, that would be great. In addition, if you can please, if you like the map as is, that's fine. If you have anything you want to change, you'll see I sent y'all an electronic copy of this already. You'll see the key down at the bottom of the map. Will tell you all the different markings and what Chambliss King has done, so you'll know your boundaries and what they're setting as city limits, etc. Does that work?
It works.
Y'all good with that? Yes?
Can you kind of look over your itinerary for that visit to Perry?
Mm-hmm.
And let us know or schedule it so we can leave it at a point where we know we can be back on time?
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be terrible if we hit bad traffic and none of the commissioners were here.
Yeah. Y'all could do like a distance learning type meeting. Yeah, I'll talk to Francine. And
Okay.
I'll make sure that the meetings that we have at the very front are the ones you need to be at.
Okay.
And we're leaving at 7:30, and it's fair to say, I mean, when I went over there by myself the first time, I left at 6 and got there about 9 or 10. So, I mean, you know it's an hour ahead, so you could go over earlier, and I can set y'all up a separate meeting with Stephen, because I think Stephen's, the tour, the elected officials are in the morning, because most of us had already kind of talked to Georgia National Fairgrounds and touring the facility. It's going to have an event going on, but it's not a very large event. Well, it's got like 20,000 people there, but for them, that's not a large event. And so, so there'll be something going on there, but we're meeting with the elected officials when we first get there. So if you want me to try to set up a meeting with the fairgrounds prior to that, and some of y'all can go over earlier, that way you can guarantee you'll be back. If that works.
Let's get a communication going and
Can
let
handle
everybody
that?
know, 'cause that's been your holdup. People,
Didn't have she and I talked about it yesterday, but my IDB board, we were responding yesterday too.
okay, okay,
We
great.
didn't have a meeting, so, anything else?
These public meetings that you have set for the 15th and 16th,
And
these are very important, and if you
25th.
want, and the 25th, if you want some input on what your county and your city's gonna look like going forward, you need to be at these meetings.
And they'll be in the Alabama room at the Alabama Power Company building. They'll be published in the newspaper. I have sent them out to, if y'all don't mind, if you could put them on the calendar for the newspaper as well, that would be great. I can send y'all a copy. And then if y'all can put them on your website or where you normally post your stuff, that would be great. I've already asked the cities to do the same thing. And then Chambliss King will also go through the preliminaries that we do on public documents, and it'll be published as an advertisement in the paper. And the 15th, 16th, and again, it's going to repeat the same process. So you can come on the 15th and come on the 16th. That's why we had 3 of them, because, it's summertime. So if you've got a vacation scheduled with them two consecutively, then you're gonna miss the public session, so I asked for one on the 25th. This will not be all the public meetings. This is public meetings for the first phase.
Right,
So,
okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. And this Thursday is not a public meeting. Public can attend, but it's not a public comment meeting. This is just for the stakeholders, committee, county, city, and IDB to get this map finalized and get us moving in the direction. Got
What
it?
time we'll be leaving on the 30th?
If you ride with us, we'll leave at 7:30. If y'all want to set up something, and I can, what I might do is just email Miss Sylvia and just kinda, so that way y'all are all seeing the emails, and I can get Francine. If y'all would like for me to set up a meeting separate with Steven, I can, where y'all can go over earlier, or you can go over the night before. That's not a problem at all. Okay, just let me know.
We'll work that out, probably provide our own transportation.
I just think
And that way,
it'd
if we
be,
need to pull away, we can leave.
I just think it's beneficial for both sets of elected officials who are going to be part of this project to understand something that is almost just gonna be like its sister. And to see that, and especially when I come back telling you that Perry was built like an island, it doesn't really have a lot of retail beside it, and how we can benefit more, and those different things, how they've worked. The public safety building, the chief of police yesterday told me, he reminded me about that, and he and I were talking about Perry. Perry has a state trooper post there, so that worked out to their benefit where we don't have that, so I've already sent an email to Alpha to make sure that's considered in the plan. Just different things, and you can see the outlay of the building, you can ask the questions, you can kind of understand a little bit more, so that when we're having conversations, you're not just getting a Google Earth view of it and hearing my translation. So I'm just trying to let everybody be a part of it.
Okay,
Thank y'all.
thank you. Miss Jessica Carter, Director of Chilton County Transit.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just need to get a few items for my fiscal year 20 grant application. The first thing, I need a resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Department of Transportation for a grant under the Federal Transit Act.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one, I need a resolution that the commission commits the amount of $27,000 as local non-federal match for the fiscal year 20.
Second. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then I just need a motion to allow the chairman to sign the local match certification, the local match commitment letter, the rural transit program application letter, and the letter of designation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That moves through department heads, and we come to committee.